You give some great strategies around this on ways to hook your audience in the first few seconds of that presentation so you don't lose them from the start. Perhaps you can go through some of those with our audience right now.
Sure. Well, this is actually the first one that comes to mind is one I learned from Matt. So I was speaking at an Atlassian conference, and Matt was the speaker coach for it. And I used to always start off my presentations with, "Hello, everyone. We're here today to talk about whatever topic. I'm Lorraine. Really happy to be here." And that's such a missed opportunity, like you said, Charles. Like you got to catch attention really fast. And so to reiterate what people can already read on my slide, and they know who I am, they showed up for that, that's a really missed opportunity. So instead, pausing for a second, starting off with an interesting question, a thought provoking question, maybe sharing an interesting stat, something that surprises the audience. That is a really big opportunity that I see a lot of speakers miss out on for the ones I'm coaching, right? They get very literal with like, okay, we're here to talk about this, but it's really an opportunity to capture your audience's attention.
Focus on the audience. What do you want them to think? What do you want them to do? And how do you want them to feel is so important to have as that guiding light as you're developing the presentation and being mindful of it when you're delivering it.
Yeah, it's a really wonderful exercise and it doesn't take much time. So essentially what you're doing is you have think, do, feel, like you said, and then you have a now column and then you have an after column. And so, okay, what does my audience currently think? What do they currently do? How do they currently feel? Okay, now that I know all these things, I can structure my presentation in such a way that I want them to think, do, and feel all these things after they see my presentation. And I think so many people forget about this when they present. They are wanting to talk about a certain thing that they're excited about, or they're sharing data that they're just so in the weeds. They think everything's important, but no, like what does the audience actually think? What do they do? What do they feel? How do we want those things to change? And only include content in the presentation that is going to influence that. Right? We don't want to overload people with information. Keep it targeted. People are going to appreciate that.
Absolutely. And the next thing is really keep it moving. And you say the more slides, the better. That's somewhat counterintuitive because I've heard both camps on this, but you need to add movement because you need to keep their engagement high. Maybe you can perhaps explain why that's the case and how much movement is necessary.
When we think about video, or rather when we think about video calls, most of us are like, "Oh gosh, not another video call." But when you think about how much video you consume outside of the office, so Charles, do you like watch TV and YouTube and like all these things, right? We're actually consuming a lot of video. And so changing slides, it doesn't have to be a big movement, it doesn't have to be a video, right? Or something very elaborate, but simply moving through slides, having a fade in, right? Not putting all your text on the slide at once. All of those things re-trigger and refocus people's attention so that they're focused on you